Welcome to Starting Out Solitary. I'm Drew, and this week's topic is magical food. Now, I don't really consider myself to be a kitchen witch at all. When I'm in the kitchen making my food, I'm not thinking magic, honestly. I am thinking about the flavor and what it is I'm trying to achieve, and that is my intent and interest. The most I will typically do is if someone is sick, I might feed some Reiki into the food. But typically I do not put magical intent into my food at all. So this isn't necessarily a topic I have a huge amount to offer and contribute to. Having said that, of course, we all probably have a ton of things in our kitchen that if we just put the intent in, we could be creating and crafting all kinds of magic with, whether it be actually in our food that we're making or otherwise. Herbs, if you're into herb craft, I am greatly into herb craft. So of course there are tons of herbs that are edible, the vast majority of them, that could be used in our cooking, but also can be used just in regular spellcraft. Now, of course, if you aren't just buying your herbs out of the grocery store, do your research and make sure that it's edible before you put it in food. There are lots of poisonous herbs as well. So of course, some of the first things that come to mind for me are cinnamon and basil and mint, rosemary, thyme, salt. These are all things that most people have in their kitchen and can add magic to your food or just be used in regular spell crafting and herb crafting. But I actually take it a little step further than that. Again, not necessarily in the kitchen because I'm not really a kitchen witch, but I do work with some food items in my magic, pomegranates and apples. But the main thing are pumpkin. Like I have a dehydrator, but even if you don't have a dehydrator, if you can dry things out in the oven if you do it at a low, slow heat. But pumpkin and pumpkin seeds I work with in my magic. And citrus. So lemons, limes, grapefruits, oranges. I work with those regularly in my magic. And it's very easy to find magical properties either in books or on the internet or what have you. But in preparation for this video, last night I was just thinking about stretching myself a bit. What do I have in my kitchen that I've never used in magic? What food? What do I have in my fridge that I could use in my magic, and how could I use it? And the first thing that jumped to mind, honestly, was carrots, because we always have carrots in the refrigerator. And I thought, okay, I've never used carrots in magic before. How could I do that? And so I just started thinking, the obvious choice for me was the beta carotene. So carrots are supposed to be good for your eyes, your eyesight. And so my mind started going, I could use them in magic when I'm trying to see something that is hidden from me. If I think I'm being deceived, if I'm too close to a situation and I can't really see what's going on, there's all kinds of applications that I could use that for. So it kind of got my wheels turning. I am someone who, I've never done this in my kitchen, but I do like to go around and look for things in my immediate environment that I don't typically use in my magic and figure out if there's a way to incorporate it in. And I've actually, like, one of my staples in my practice came from this idea of, this is just something in my environment, how can I work it in? And when I do that, I typically can't find a lot of established magical properties. So what I will do personally is I will look for example, in feather magic, I look at the sort of mythology and legends and superstitions and traditions around the bird that the feather came from. And that's how I established the magical properties. For the carrot, I went to a sort of scientific method and looked at what is in the carrot, what it's made up of. And I've done that for several items as well. And what the properties would be based on that. For instance, if I picked something up and I wanted to work with it and I knew it had a high magnesium content, and even if I didn't know that off the top of my head, if I just Googled it and found out it had a high magnesium content, then I would look into magnesium and see what that does and what properties that would bring. So for me, even though this topic was a little out of my comfort zone, because while I do love herb craft and I do work with some food items in my magic, I don't actually practice kitchen witchery. So instead of feeling overwhelmed or like I didn't have anything to contribute, I tried to stretch myself. And I guess I'm kind of suggesting that. I love when these opportunities arise to sort of step outside of our comfort zone and to sort of push ourselves and to be creative and to make personal connections, like the carrot thing, or plenty of other things that I use in my practice that I had to formulate what they did on my own and then work it out and practice with it and figure out if it actually would. For me, it's sort of, I don't want to say the essence, but it's just sort of this really fundamental part of magic. This need within me that I go out and find things at hand to help me manipulate the energy and to create this change. And when it is something that, I don't want to say I developed, but that I have sort of discovered and shaped from beginning to end, that to me is very special. And it doesn't really have a lot to do with the topic specifically, but that is where my mind went when this topic came up, because it wasn't something that I was fully comfortable with. It wasn't something that I had a huge relationship with, an understanding of magical food and, you know, kitchen witchery and things of that nature. So I think from now on, as we're putting away groceries, my wheels are going to be turning, and I'm going to be thinking about what can this do in my magic. I know I went into left field, guys, but I have a tendency to do that, so please bear with me. Thanks so much for checking out Starting Out Solitary, and until next time, much love and gratitude.